So, last Saturday, we were all at Hull for NGW's Eternal Glory. At what arena, Stevie?
The Connects in Live Arena. I have to say that properly. It's because it's the way it's written. What is it? CONNEXION. Live Arena. Is that right? I think that's right.
You tell me. That's what I'm asking you.
That's right.
I'll just call it the bonus arena.
That's what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Connects in Live Arena. That's right. Yeah.
There you go. Of course, we were all there, obviously, in person. Steve was obviously the ring announcer. Chloe was obviously there. I was there. We had a good little time. Chloe, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
And, of course, Ben, what about you?
Yeah, it was good family fun entertainment. It was good to see some new people on the card. Yeah. Overall, that's good.
Of course. So we're going to have a nice little review, go for each one of the matches, give our little thoughts and everything. So, yeah, in turn, roll the intro. Now, of course, we've obviously spoke about NGW obviously on this show quite a lot. And Stevie, I mean, obviously everybody's obviously recommended it. I mean, for you, I know you can't say anything bad, but Sunday night up for you?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, it went so quickly. You know, it's a good event and it's a good thing to be a part of when, you know, you're there all day, obviously working, but it feels like fun. I mean, I will say, Rich Dunn, the promoter, he told us all before we went out, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, that just enjoy it, just experience it. Obviously, there's a lot for me to remember. There's I've got a headset. I'm in, you know, communication with the guys that are running the event. But just embrace it. And I think from that moment of going out to the end, to the, you know, the cage match and the fireworks going off and that image of, you know, the two friends in the aisleway. Yep, loved it all. It went past so quickly. Yeah, for whatever reason, NGW has always been kind of synonymous with their December events, Eternal Glory or whatever the big event is in December. And I've been working for them for nearly a decade now. So it's always a pleasure to do those December events. And I can remember, you know, one event at the City Hall where they were turning fans away. And it was, you know, we were over capacity. And then to do a big arena like we did on Saturday, it was just, it was magical, if you'd like a word for it, I suppose. I know it's corny, but it's true.
Of course. Now, Chloe, obviously, is this first time you've been to an NGW show, or?
It was the second one I've been to. Went to one in September at the Eastmount Centre, and I'd not experienced a wrestling show like it in terms of the fans. They love it. They're all about it. Like it is very much real to them. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. I really like seeing the kids, how they reacted to people. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
It's funny that they're so loyal in Hull, and Hull's one of the only places where I'll get stopped in the street, and I know all the guys do as well, you know. And as I say, I'm very humble about the fact, you know, what I do and everything. But they see them all as stars, and it really is a special place. And sadly, there's very few places like that in the world now. So when it does happen, and when they've got, you know, a promotion's got a following, or the individuals have got a big following, like your Nathan Cruz's, you know, like your Matt Myers, all of those guys that are homegrown from NGW, it makes it all the better.
Absolutely. But Ben, obviously you mentioned there that this is your first one after so many years. What about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the show. I agree with Chloe that people in Hull pretty much go feral for NGW. It's got a very loyal following. I thought all the build-up from the Eastmount show leading to Eternal Glory was good. On the outset, I only had one little gripe which I'm sure we'll go into later. But no, it's good. I enjoyed it. I think for the end of year show, they needed something special. And I think putting it in that arena just made it that little bit more special.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Stevie, obviously, it was the Connection Arena. Was there obviously a reason for that? Obviously, did they want to go out the year in style?
I mean, I don't know the inner workings or the plans that they've got moving forward. I mean, just to give you a bit of background, NGW had a pretty good deal with Estuary Television at one point, which is the channel that like the local TV all around the country. And I think it just depends where you live on how much input your local station puts into it. I know here the version that we had, it was really just repeats of Judge Judy all day. It was very much secondhand television. There was very few original content on there, but they had a good deal. This is going back, just an overview of the last 10 years. Obviously, we were on Challenge TV, part of Wrestle Talk TV for a while. And a lot of the people involved behind the scenes of NGW, not to give any trade secrets or anything like that, because I think a lot of people still don't realise, but a lot of people were involved with the World of Sport revival as well. And a lot of promotions around the country that you wouldn't think that the average fan, I mean, most people don't need to know that kind of thing, but NGW did have aspirations in regards to television and things like that. Not to get off the subject, but I think we were due a big event. We've sold out City Hall. We've sold out places around the country, but the City Hall was the big one. And it's like, where do you go from there? We used to run the Airco Arena before we went to City Hall. That was a good arena, but this one was bigger, and this was the new arena, so it was just a chance to sort of prove, I think, what we can do there. And again, discussion about how this was going to be handled, who was going to be involved, who was going to be on the card, how it was going to be. Again, we were told about the way it was filmed, what that footage is going to be used for. I mean, I'm just being truthful here. I genuinely don't know what the long-term plans are right now. I think after COVID and everything, I think NGW everywhere was hurt, but NGW was particularly hurt, maybe more than other places, because we did, just speaking there before we went on the air, there was other venues that we had, which we haven't been back to since coming back. Whether we'll go back there or not, I don't know. But I think this is, for lack of a better term, it's good progress for NGW. Doing this arena proved that we can do it. Don't know what the plans are from here, but I know that it was professionally filmed. I did what I was told. I was told explicitly before we went out earlier in the day. Did my little rehearsal of getting in the ring, testing the pyro, testing the sound, that kind of thing. And I was told, quite specifically, make sure you get the fans to react to the cameras before I went out, if you remember that. So that footage is, we've got this professional footage now. Where that goes, I don't know, but it's exciting. And as I say, I'm proud of being part of this company for the last decade. And technically, before I even worked there, I don't know if I talked about that before, but I won't bore you with that today. So it's just exciting where this goes. Just have to wait and see.
There you go. So Ben, obviously looking at the card, we've obviously got some big names. Obviously we know, obviously Vucic, Amir Jordan, Reese and Roga, man like Reese. There was some pretty good talent on that card.
Yeah, I thought there was. I thought there was a great opportunity too for the unannounced people in the Battle Royal to actually make a name for themselves. Most of them were already doing bits on the UK scene, but haven't been put in that spotlight. I think some of them really stood out, which was good. My gripe was kind of still in the first match. You had Adam Max as front and center of the poster, so he was always going to be Darius's partner. Because he never announced his match. So
Not necessarily.
well, so it was like, did they forget that they booked him? What was that, Stevie?
Well, I mean that poster was prepared some months back. I do believe this is the truth. If you remember, Adam Maxted was the champion, and then there was a set of circumstances where he was unable to make the anniversary event this year, which is why the winner of the Destiny Rumble became the champion, which is when Sam Bailey became the champion. So I do believe that when the poster was prepared, there were plans for obviously Maxted being the the figurehead of the company to be there, but plans change. Plans did change. He might. There may have been a point where he wouldn't have been there. Luckily, he was, so it worked out. Perhaps the art people, maybe the poster, specifically the online poster, that could have taken him off. But the poster that was out in Hull, I do believe, always had Maxted on long before, when presumably he would have still been champion, if that makes sense.
Aye.
Absolutely. Yeah. Chloe, obviously there was some great talent, obviously, who we've seen throughout the UK.
Yeah, like getting to see Hardman Dan in something like that was like, my love for Hardman Dan. Like, the guy is incredible. And getting to see Jack Maxwell for the first time was good. Like, there was people in that match that, seeing Reese and Rogan throughout the night, brilliant guys. There's just a lot of really good talent, and it was great to see Lizzie again. I really like seeing Lizzie just do what she does is just the best.
I have to give a shout out to Zachary Brewer, because I think he's phenomenal coming out of BWR. So putting him in that match is only going to boost his profile. It is seriously one to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the match breakdown. So match number 1, of course, was Reese and Rogan against Man Like Darius, and a mystery partner. I'm sure Ben's already announced who that actually was, but
my bad.
Yeah, but Chloe, I mean, Reese and Rogan, I mean, this is probably one of the top tag teams in the UK at the minute.
Yeah, every time, like, I've seen them, they're always just doing incredible things. And I love seeing them together and just the chemistry that they have in matches. Like, I can't say I've not seen them and not gone, that were okay match. Every match I've seen them in, it's been like definitely up there for them both.
Yep, definitely. Stevie, Reese and Rogan, probably one of the top tag teams at the minute.
Yeah, going back, Reese could never really find his place. I was talking to another promoter just the other day, and he was just saying how chuffed he was for him, because for years, the lad, he was always very determined. He was always an NGW regular, but he was lost on the undercard. Didn't really fit in, couldn't really figure it out. He had the tools, but there was something missing. And then Rogan came along, a young trainee, and they had a similar look. Obviously, got together and everything. And I remember that they were very green, but what they did was, I mean, the amount of respect that they showed me and they showed other people. I kind of resent Rogan a little bit, because he said when he was a little kid, he used to go to the Doncaster Dome and watch me at 1PW. And it was like, thanks, I feel ancient now. But the point is, what they used to ask me, and they used to ask everybody, all the guys, what tag matches would you watch? Can you give us, some ideas? And I'd tell them to go back and watch like 80s tag team wrestling, watch Arn and Tully, and watch, Dr. Death and Terry Gordy and guys like that. The sort of, for the kind of look that they had, I was like, you want to be sort of brutish tag team, get in and out, do things that modern tag teams aren't doing, stand out, be different. And that's the key, I think. And they're continuing to do so, and they're just improving all the time. I mean, they've got it down to a T. I wouldn't want them by themselves, and I don't think it's a negative. we need more people who are willing to say, okay, right now, I'm not going to be a singles, I'm not going to be a main event guy. Maybe, down the road, that's the ultimate goal, but let's be in a tag team. And they will get bookings that way because people are looking for, the genuine article, not just let's pair this person with this person, if that makes sense. They want actual tag teams. And I think they fit that very well.
Absolutely. Ben, what about Reese and Rogan?
I wholeheartedly think that they are the best UK tag team on the scene right now. Excuse me. We've been to many promotions, and Reese and Rogan's always now the staple point of your tag team division. They come in, they claim the Yorkshire Tough, and they just smash the shit out of quite a lot of other teams. Yeah, having them on the card was kind of like a no-brainer. I always thought they'd go over because in my eyes, it's very hard to see a legitimate team who could get a win over them.
Mm-hmm.
If Leon was with Darius, which he wasn't, that's a possible legit tag team to go against them. But when it's always going to be a mystery guest and a person against an established team who are on such a roll as Reese and Rogan, I always saw it being one-sided.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point there because, traditional booking would be you would put over the team with the mystery partner. But on this occasion, I don't think it was the right call. I think that, Reese and Rogan, like you say, is the established act. Maxted's over anyway. Maxted's, top guy. Darius is as well. Obviously in NGW, Maxted's seen as, for the fans that have been following it. And I don't know how it's going to play out, but he's the unbeaten champion. So, whether he's going to eventually confront the champion down the line is one to watch for. But you make a great point. And, Reese and Rogan, let's see where they go and what happens in the tag division.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chloe, obviously, what do you reckon to this match and what would you rate it out of 5 stars?
Ooh.
I'm not going to tell him.
That one. You just caught me off guard. Feeling like Meltzer.
So 7 then. Right.
Definitely like 4 stars. It was a brilliant match. Both teams, it was great to see Adam wrestle with Darius. It was really good. I'm just not sure what doesn't quite make it a 5, but it was definitely up there with a great match.
Okay, Ben, what about you?
For me, I'd give it a solid 3.5.
Okay, yeah, I think 3.5. Obviously,
It was good. It wasn't all too one-sided. I thought the story played out well. I thought Scott Bell refereeing did a great job too. I'll have to big up Scott. I think that's one of the better matches I've seen him ref. 3.5.
Yeah, see, I don't know if you can rate this match yourself.
It was a great opener. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Benny. I think 3.5 is obviously a fair thingy. I mean, you got to see Reese and Rogan, and yeah, I mean, I'll just love to see where these obviously go from now. So yeah, I think 3.5 star for me. Match number 2 is, of course, Jack Bandicoot versus Amir Jordan versus Vusic in a Gen X rules match. Now, the funny thing is, we spoke about it, this TV Gen X rules, for quite a few times, so I was kind of excited for this match. But for some people listening, can you explain briefly what a Gen X match is?
So the idea is, and again, I'm told to make sure that I explained that when we do these 10-minute time limit matches, it's not going for draws, because we've been aware of sometimes when I say it's got a 10-minute time limit, there's a few groans from the crowd, but we're not looking for draws. It's basically to imply that there's going to be faster action. Wrestlers are going to be taking more chances. It's basically, the high flying division or the light heavyweight division or whatever you want to call it. It's a different kind of angle from NGW. These matches were a big part of the television when they were on television, because you had the timer in the bottom corner, and the way the match starts, everybody's got the hand on the turnbuckle. And that's when the bell rings, and then they just go for it, go all out. And that's what this was. And I think they did about 8.5 minutes in this particular match.
Mm-hmm. Ben, obviously, I mean, with two talent we obviously know pretty well. And Jack Bandicoot really put on a show here, let's be honest.
Yeah, he did. We saw him at Eastmount. Oh, sorry. I saw him at Eastmount leading up to this, where he was against Scotty Rourke. And I was equally surprised then that he beat Scotty. So going into this, I'd seen a little bit. I know his social media, he is blowing up, and he's definitely over with the fans in Hull, his old Bandicoot. I thought it was a good match. I thought, even though I'm wearing Vusek's shirt, I don't think he was. I don't personally think he was the right fit for the match. I think if he was available, maybe chucking Robbie X in there would have made it a more faster Gen X match with maybe a little bit more spots going on in there. That's nothing against Vusek. I think he did absolutely fantastic. And I loved the finish of it, of he's going to go choke you out, but accidentally rolls back onto his shoulders. So it was a good way of still keeping Vusek strong in the match, but just losing it at the last second.
He's a different style.
He is.
Than the others. I think that's the idea. You've got the heel who was there to be a sort of cut-off point while the others are, going all out, and Vusek's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Chloe, what do you reckon to this match?
Love, obviously, seeing him here many times. Also seen Vusek a lot as well. Like, they're both really good at what they do. Second time I've seen Jack Bandicoot. Very, very fast. He's a very fast guy. And he's got so much energy. And it really gets it across to, like, me watching that. Not only does he love what he does, he does a lot of, like, he loves what he does and there's a lot of passion there. Because he is so quick. There's a lot of energy. It makes me tired watching him.
What do you think of his tattoos? Have you seen his tattoos? It's really interesting.
Close.
Yeah, he's got that thick sort of outline. I'm not an ink guy, but I don't know how you would describe it, but they're pretty cool. One's on his back. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Needed to pop to the fridge.
That's fine, don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, this for me really surprised me. I mean, great match. I mean, obviously it was first time seeing a Gen X match live. And yeah, I mean, I like the finish, obviously Jack picking up the victory. So I'm going to be consistent here. I think a 3.5 star as well. So I'm obviously being really consistent. Chloe, would you rate this match?
3.5, gonna go with you.
Okay, Ben.
I'd give it a solid. I'd say 3.5 again because it followed the card well. Like, Stevie will kind of understand. They couldn't really go in a way all out because the match following it might have hurt it.
Right.
If that makes sense to you.
I mean, yeah, I very much love your opinion on this. There is a no, don't get worried. There is a philosophy, and I think this comes from the Nitro days, to be honest, that you put on a sort of fast-paced, high-flying, like they put on the cruiserweight matches. You get what I'm saying? I personally, I don't particularly think that a triple threat match should be first. So I think second is a better spot for that kind of match when you've just seen the tag match. So I don't know how you felt about the order there, whether the Gen X match should have been first or the tag match was better first. For me, I don't think triple threat matches should be first, but that's just my opinion.
What do you think, Ben?
Oh. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just saying it's just different philosophy of match orders and things like that.
I don't know. I think personally the tag match was fine because you had already opened up the crowd and got everyone going. So they didn't need a fast-paced match. But yeah, I thought it was a good build-up onto the next match because that was basically it's to get the crowd pumped and they're going into basically the second main event, if you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
Well,
you had Derice first, I think, as well, just to, pop the crowd and do his introduction.
His
start.
intro. Yeah.
His intro, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Chloe, what about you? What do you reckon?
I think it was like putting the Gen X match second was like, 'cause it gives a consistency
Mhm.
because you've had Derice come out and do his bit, which always gets people hyped. I mean, there's probably not a day that it doesn't spring into my mind. Just doing general things. You're just like, when I say A1, do you say 2-1? Just doing things at work, and I'm like, I don't live in the area. Why is this in my head?
You get up in the morning and that 2-1 thing's in your head.
No, she just wakes up and goes, bye, check, check. And you're like, all right. She's awake.
Derice is just my inner theme. Let's just
Fair enough.
And then with the consistency and then into a fast-paced match following that, there didn't feel like there was a flat moment. Because I know in an arena of that size, sometimes there is that little bit of fear even any wrestling show that you're going to come from a really fast-paced match or a really hyped-up match, and then it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, which was just good.
Okay. Next match is obviously really interesting. Of course, it was Sam Bailey versus Matt Myers for the NGW Championship match. Now, Ben, I'll start with you on this one. When you're talking storyline, this has got storyline overall. So, talk about
that. First off, I want to hope Sam gets a speedy recovery.
Yes.
The end of that match was not very nice. We heard it in the front row, and it was really not nice to watch either.
You've seen that? You've seen his...
Yeah, we nasty sling blade. However, storyline, Matt Myers, to my knowledge, only ever wins a world title in December. I think this is his third December world title. I think it was always going to be the right decision because Myers, in my head, is kind of like the Cody Rhodes of finishing the story. There's been a lot of Matt. Does he retire? Does he not? Can he still keep going? Can he avenge losing in tag matches and everything? And I thought putting him over to win was good. Do I think it's the end of him versus Bailey? Not really. And I think because of the injury at the end, it gives him a reason to. Where are you going? Have another match too. Be back. Yeah, I really enjoy it. And Matt Myers, I know at times isn't everyone's cup of tea. He's kind of Sami Zayn without the mask at times, but it is a person who can carry that championship. And I know everyone looks at Nathan Cruz as a big star of NGW. I think Matt Myers is actually up there with him. And I think he will carry this title with pride.
Okay. So, Stevie, obviously, I mentioned the storyline with this. I love the storyline with this because it's kind of like, somebody like backstabbing you a little bit. Talk about that.
Well, it goes back pretty much 15 years, really, to the start of NGW. They're both, seen as NGW originals. Sam Bailey's was a big fan favorite, and he's kind of come back with a chip on his shoulder the last couple of years. He was actually my tag partner in the last match that I ever had at Eternal Glory 5 years ago. So there you go. But yeah, he's got this attitude that, he should have what's owed to him, even though at the same time you've got this other situation with the new gen, where Miles Kamen is the leader, and you've got Reese and Rogan, and younger guys who've never had that opportunity. That accuse the NGW originals of, not moving over and, holding on to their past glories. And there you've got, Matt Myers, who has, been such a big part, as you were saying there, about in relation to NGW and the whole fans. And he's very much synonymous with NGW since the beginning and stuff. He plans to retire, and his friends, Nathan Cruz and Dara Diablo, told him, "No, you've got one more shot at this, and you know, for Sam Bailey to sort of laugh in his face and say, no, you don't, and then have the title match. Again, this is the sort of stuff that, you know, lends itself, to television much better than, you know, live events. But the thing about the fans in Hull, they've been following it and they know exactly what's going on here. So that helps a lot. Obviously, you can't do that everywhere. So I think everybody's very grateful that works for NGW that we have an audience like that that's able to follow that kind of storyline.
Chloe, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, things went off. I got a phone call. My apologies.
That's absolutely fine. So, yeah, we're talking about, obviously, Sam Bailey and, obviously, the Myers, obviously, storyline. What do you think?
Yeah, like seeing what I'd seen at the Eastmount show and then, you know, on social media in the lead up to it, I think he was, you know, the perfect way. Not the story isn't finished, but for that moment, it was a good moment. I feel for Matt, like especially in that arena, you know, local boy winning the belt. I feel like it was a good moment, and I do hope Sam has a speedy recovery because it was kind of emotional seeing what happened to him. But
yeah, I think I feel a little bit bad for Matt that he couldn't really bask in his glory because in the back of his mind there was a bit of an incident going behind him. Hello, Kenny.
sorry, cat.
So I thought it was a great match. An ending that should have not happened that way, but it was what it is.
Yeah, obviously, Stevie, these things happen, obviously, in wrestling. But one thing I want to touch on is obviously the crowd, because I felt like the crowd was really into this match. Was that fair?
Yeah, I think they were into every match in the first half. You know, they knew the backstory. There was people there that were shouting all kinds of things and support with Myers. I didn't really hear any Sam Bailey fans, so that tells you how effective his heel turn's been. I think again, you know, going back to like what Chloe was saying there about Matt Myers, I think, and this is no way a knock on Myers, but I think you know what I mean about that when I say that very much a hometown talent, very much a hometown hero in terms of we want to see this guy win in Hull, and that might not be the case everywhere else, even if he's a fan favorite in another location. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's wrong, the philosophy in wrestling that you know you should be trained to get over everywhere. I think you know you play to your strengths, you know, and if his strength is that he's the hometown guy, you know, why wouldn't you play to that? That's not a knock on Vince McMahon, by the way. It's not just him that thinks that. But you see what I'm saying? It's I think if it was going to be anywhere, it was going to be there. I do have another question for yourselves. Again, a match placement and stuff. Obviously, there's you know a philosophy that the main event should always be the title match. And in all honesty, I didn't know until I think it was Friday night. You know, the order of the card. Should that have been the main event? I don't know. With the people in the crowd that thought Myers wasn't winning because of the placement, I mean that again, that does you know play into people's minds. But Myers did win. He did become the champion. It was the third match on the show. Should it have been later?
I personally think it was placed perfectly because with a interval coming up midway of the point, it was basically your first half main event.
Yeah.
With the gimmick match of a steel cage, which I've seen like one steel cage in my life match. You've probably seen many, Stevie, but like for NGW to have one, I don't think that should have been any lower than main event. I think just because of that gimmick match, that's what would put it at the end.
Definitely.
So, Chloe, what about you?
I think it was placed perfectly we'd been hyped up, and then the storyline around the entire match, it kind of gave it that nice close to your first half.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Matt's done it. Yeah. Like, it was a nice moment. Like, even with, Sam's injury, it was a nice moment for the kids.
Yeah.
Because, the kids that were surrounding the ring throughout, like, some of the, like, there was some kids that were stood in front of us, and some of the things they were saying to Sam, they were kid-friendly heckles, but my goodness, they were ruthless.
Yeah, I just want to speak about that, actually. Now you've brought that up, because I wonder how many people, realised that he was seriously injured. Obviously, we had the first airders in the ring straight away after the match, as you may have noticed. I actually asked if I should, just give a shout out to Sam Bailey, and I was told, no, just leave it. Put over even though he's, the heel and everything, let's hear it for the former champion kind of thing. But I was like, no, just leave it. So
I was going to say,
I don't know if it's an illusion, but keep the fact that he is the heel and he knows he's the heel, and he can come back to that. But I hate to see anybody getting hurt, especially
Yeah, I was going to say it was a perfect opportunity for yourself to then get a photograph with the new champion.
Right.
I thought that was a cracking way to kind of not so much distract people of what was going on, but it took what had just happened away from the eyes. It's like, now come on down and get a picture with your champion.
Yeah.
Whereas that can be sorted out.
Yeah. The focus is on who's won and the champion rather than.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I was a bit surprised this was third, because I'm used to seeing it like the co-main event or the main event. So, but I agree with obviously what Chloe and Ben said. I think putting it third before the interval was actually really perfectly placed. It was just surprising for me when obviously it came out. I'm like, oh, okay, we're having this match now. But I think that's more like, because obviously different shows, different whatever. But no, I mean, for me, I can't qualm it no matter what. But as Ben said, obviously Sam rested really, really well. Nobody likes to see her injured. So, Chloe, what would you rate this one?
4. The storyline and social media, there's been a lot of build up to it, and I'm glad of the outcome for Matt.
Okay, Ben.
I would give it a 4.5 because there was technically nothing wrong with it. There was a great story, great backlog. In the ring, they portrayed a great story from not so much inside sources. I know there was only like 3 moves cut off the end sequence. So other than that, they did perfect. So 4.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 4 as well. I love the storyline. I love, obviously, everything they build up. I would have given it a little bit more, but I feel like the injury thing, it's not obviously Sam's fault. Obviously, these things happen. But for me, overall, solid 4. Sorry, Steve, do you want to add something to
that? No, I think that's fair. Chloe saying about the build and everything, it certainly adds to it when you know what's going on. And it's always good when you can look around and see people in the crowd. And I always do the thing of, it's funny you saying, Liam, that they didn't expect that match was next. I got it, if you noticed, I got it in the ring and let it die down a little, and I said following contest is for the NGW championship, and there was a reaction to that. So that the people, they're not just popping because it's a title match. It's the title match. They know what to expect. So
yeah, absolutely. So after the interval, we obviously got this match, which is a Beast Mode Battle Royal. Now, Stevie, I'll start with you on this one. Was there meant to be 15? Because I recall seeing 13.
Yeah, there was 13 in the match. Where's the 2 gone?
There was supposed to be 12, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was 15 for 15. 15 years, 15 competitors.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Look it up because
Look it up, Stevie.
Liam, you look it up. I don't believe it was ever announced as that, but I might be wrong. There there was 12 names that I had originally. Reese and Rogan were not supposed to be in it originally. Styx was supposed to be in it, and for whatever reason he couldn't do it. I don't know why. But yeah, it became 13 earlier that day.
Right. I'm sure it was.
I don't recall hearing the 15 for 15. It may have been announced as that as originally, but it also wasn't announced as Beast Mode originally. That came later.
Aye. And thank you for explaining the rules at least. So someone knew what the hell was going on.
Doesn't everybody do that? I mean,
no, there's been some.
I can't actually find it, so I don't actually no idea why we thought 15 and 15.
Well,
I
as long as it's not just me who thought it was 15 and 15. But,
well, it looks like there is. It was only you.
Well, I don't know. There's been some other promotions where they don't explain the rules of the match, and you announce them, and then we just think, fuck it, we'll go with it. So
really, that's
yeah.
bad, though, isn't it? You should always explain the rules. I mean,
so to clarify, it was originally 12, but then obviously it became 13.
That's what I found out earlier in the day. Yeah, Reese and Rogan were never originally in it, and then they were. So,
okay. So, Chloe, I'll start with you over in this. We got to see some obviously good names in this. Obviously, Zachary Rowe, Jack Maxwell, Ace Matthews, Rampage Brown. There's some really good talent in this Battle Royal.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Jack and Hardman Dan, Zachary, like some really great wrestlers that are only just starting to creep onto the scene, but it's great to see them have opportunities like this. Getting, Ace Matthews, he is probably one of the best people at what he does at this moment in time. Like, I just find you can't hate the guy. Like, he's just,
Well,
like from interactions, from if you've got the front row wristbands and he was your meet and greet. The guy is he's committed to what he does, and you've got to love him for it.
Ben?
Yeah. I'd like to give Ace a shout out. Every show I see him at, he cracks my back so that I can sit comfortably throughout the night, which is always a plus. Gives great back work. Apart from messing up the 15 and the 15, I also thought Ace was having a single match with Rampage, and that's why they were both joined the Battle Royal, or Rampage joined after knowing Ace was there. I thought the little build-up of Fire Rampage Brown, well, we got it up here actually. These other things, what I love him to give out at every shows. Yeah, I originally thought they was having a singles match, and then when they got announced for the just being in the Battle Royal, it confused me. Maybe I missed something there. The Battle Royal itself, I thought was good. I love the fact that there was a lot of people I've seen at BWR Evo in there. So a lot of younger talent actually getting, like I say, to perform on a bigger stage, which is only going to help their careers progress, which was great. I enjoy, even though he's a bit of a melt, I enjoy Benjamin Quill. I think he's a great talent. Fucking shocking run gear, but he stands out. Like he's one to watch too. But I thought it was only ever going to come down to Ace and Rampage because of what's been going on. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good battle royal after I figured out the rules from Stevie.
Oh, it was basically just a Royal Rumble, but we started with 4 people. I mean, that's the basic gist. I know there was a 2-minute interval before the 5th guy, and then after that, it was every minute or thereabouts.
Yeah, the one thing I like about this is like each wrestler got the chance to show something they can do. I mean, Jack Maxwell throwing Ace Matthews into the ring, that's the one which sticks out. Colossus, by the way, where I'm going, who the hell is this? I'm like, oh my god,
it's been going for years. Yeah, Colossus. Yeah, him and Styx were the big dominant tag team back in the day. And as I say, it's a shame there wasn't a reunion, but maybe one day.
Yeah, and of course, Rampage obviously won, which means obviously you will be getting a title shot at some point. Chloe, summarize the match and give it a star rating.
This one for me is a 5. I love myself a Rumble because there's a lot going on, and for me, it keeps me going. Like there's always something to look at, whether it's someone in the corner being stomped on, or you've got someone that's clinging on with the fingertips and then they slide back under the ropes at the last minute, or where you've just got like 3 guys trying to get a really big guy out, and you can just feel all those emotions in one go. Or then when you get someone who's coming in and they get to do their little bits. So I love it. It was a 5 for me.
Okay, Ben.
I give it a solid 4. I find it hard to rate a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royal just because, kind of the opposite of Chloe, there's just so much going on. I don't have enough eyes to cover it all. But it would have been a 3, but it's a 4 because I respect the hell out of Hardman Dan and Zachary Rowe. So I was happy to see them guys there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We're not being paid by Hardman Dan. Just going to throw that out there.
We're not. He's just worked so hard as Hardman Dan, and people need to know about him.
Okay. I'm going to get obviously a 3.5 as well. It's like I think you're both on point there. You've said it best as well. When you obviously a Battle Royal or a Royal Rumble, there's so much going on. You can like watch something there, but then something's going off over there. So you're like, oh crap, what's going on? But yeah, I feel like 3.5. That's probably a fair score. Stevie, I don't know if you can add anything to this.
Not really. No. Obviously, as you have all alluded to, it was a way of showcasing younger talent, people who haven't necessarily had those singles matches in NGW or even tag matches or anything. So, chance to introduce them and obviously progress what's going on with Ace Matthews and Rampage, whether they'll meet next year. Don't know. It could happen. Could happen in March. Could happen in June. I'm sure we'll mention that at the end. But yeah, Rampage has the title shot. What does that mean? What does that mean for Myers, who he's been in the ring with before? What does it mean for Maxted? There's a lot of questions, going. See what happens next year.
Stevie, was there any? Was Ace ever meant to be in a singles match with Rampage, or did I just read it completely wrong?
I thought I don't know. I would have predicted that, but I think it's just long build for that
it's
match.
Just put on there
I would
story.
maybe, yeah. I mean, hopefully it happens. Maybe Rampage will move on to other things now, and maybe he won't take it seriously. I don't know, but we'll have to see. I would definitely, I'd pay to see that. For probably the wrong reasons.
Let's get into our obviously co-main event, and it's of course Alia James versus Lizzie Evo. Now, Stevie, we've talked about Lizzie multiple times on this show.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about somebody who's got their character down to a T, Lizzie's really up there. But again, there's a storyline in this as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Alexis Falcon would have been the match. But Alexis is injured, and again, she's from Hull, and it would have been great, but unfortunately, she was injured, so it wasn't to be. But down the line, it could happen. Lizzie Evo, she's here in NGW now, claiming that she's going to take everything, take the gold if an NGW Women's Championship does indeed, and I'm sure it's on the horizon. Whenever that'll be, I don't know, but Lizzie's got a sight set on that, and this was just another fork in the road for her, so to speak. But it was good to see Leah James, in this position and in this match.
Of course, Chloe, what do you reckon to this?
Another brilliant match from Lizzie. She's just great. Like, I just can't describe her as anything other than great. She's just, her character's brilliant. Her in-ring stuff's brilliant. And it was the first time seeing Aaliyah, and I just loved the chemistry that they had together. It was really good.
Okay, Ben.
Again, it was first time seeing Aaliyah. Don't know a backstory. So it's going to be pretty a biased review from me on this match. I can't remember a time where I've seen Lizzie actually lose this year. From winning a title in Doncaster, what I'm not talking about, going through to, say, like other promotions. Lizzie is a standout performer. I definitely think she's one of the best female talents I've seen this year. Again, not knowing her opponent will make it biased, but in my eyes, Lizzie will just steamroll through all the company until she gets Alexis Falcon. And then I think it will set up. I don't see it happening next show. I see City Hall. That is probably when them two are going to show down.
I would think so. Yeah. I don't know, but I would think so.
And if Alexis wants, like Charles Crowley in her corner, so be it. You know.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I know, but we can always push for Charles. But yeah, I thought it was good. I think Lizzie just turned up, did the job, and at the end of the day, like she'll say, it doesn't matter what you think, she's going to get it done.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. So, Chloe, how would you rate this match?
4.
Okay.
Solid
Ben?
4.
I'd give it a solid 4 because I can't say anything bad about it. I'm being honest with you. It was a good women's match. It just led up to the main event. It was good placement too. I enjoyed it there.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. Solid 4. I mean, I can't pick anything wrong with that match again. I think these two were really on point today. So, and obviously, I'm a big fan of Lizzie, who spoke about that many times. Stevie, anything to add before we get to the main event?
Just that you all keep saying that Lizzie's portraying a character. She's not. That's her. That's 100% her. There was someone behind me in the screaming. Was it "We Hate Scousers," which is a cheap chant, but you know, whatever. And she's like, you just see it in her face, and she meets it. She's going, "Why though? Why?" Just started to laugh, going, you know, she's genuinely angry about this. Why do you hate Scousers? And it's just funny because it's like kind of like the crowd of the heels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, why do they hate Scousers? There's no reason for that.
Liverpool's a nice place, honest. It's like, it's really nice.
Dear. Let's get on to the main event.
Move
and it's,
on.
of course, Nathan Cruz, Miles Kamen, steel cage match. Now, this is the first time I've seen a steel cage match.
Wow.
Chloe, I'll start with you. I mean, we've got steel cage match. What can we say, right?
I've never seen a steel cage match in the flesh. You know, I've seen it on television many times, but this is my first in the flesh one. And, you know, even down to them putting the ring together was just so interesting to watch it being done. But like the show that Nathan and Miles put on was incredible. Like when Nathan jumped off the top of the ring onto Miles, oh, my heart was in my stomach. I was like, oh, like it was just that that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt anyone. But just the show was incredible.
Okay, Ben.
I was surprised they went with that cage. That was my first thing. And
How do you mean?
Well, it was like
In
the
terms
old
of cage?
school. Yeah, it was a old school Brett versus Owen cage. So it was a surprise that also the stipulation of pretty much no pinfall or submission, you have to literally escape, which I thought was another good twist on it. The match itself, I thought, was fantastic. I was probably the only person who was surprised with the result of it. I was pulling for Miles to go over in that match, but that's a personal thing. Not really a personal thing. I thought it was possibly going to be a passing of the torch from Nathan to Miles. That's why I thought Miles would have gone over in it. However, it's not. But in doing so, it did prove that Miles belongs to be in the main event and can hang with Nathan. in them style of matches. I've got really nothing bad to say. I knew New Gem would make an appearance because all year when we've seen Nathan and Miles on either NGW or different promotions, it always gets a little bit dirty. New Gen always turns up, and surprisingly, Nathan batters the shit out of most people. Fantastic. I've got nothing really to moan about. I thought it was great having a table spot there. The diving headbutt. Bit Benoit-ish, but we'll leave that off. You know, overall, good match.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are really split on the whole cage match rules thing. I don't know if you've seen that. And I don't know if it was clickbait. I don't know which site it was that was talking about what Shawn Michaels said recently, that, you know, he wanted to do away with the escape rule. Back in the day, it was very much looked down upon if you weren't a WWF fan. It was very much seen as, well, you're just running away from your opponent. But that said, like a lot of fans, you know, growing up with that promotion, I mean, you know, you've got Hogan and Orndorff, which is classic escape rules match. The Boss Man match with Hogan again. You mentioned, I think, Ben, Brett and Owen, matches like that with the blue bars, so to speak. So I think it has its place, as I do with the more traditional. And it's funny saying traditional because everyone thinks of the blue bars one as traditional now, but it's not. But yeah, the other cage, the mesh or whatever you want to call it. I actually like the psychology in terms of that kind of audience where you've got the heel trying to get out the door, and it's seen as a sort of cheaper win than the babyface, climbing up and going over the top. So yeah, I'm very much for it. I like all kinds of cage matches. One of the problems I think in modern times with cage matches is, they always manage to escape. They don't actually keep people in the cage, and it's like, but this one, we kept them in for the most part. Obviously, you had Reese and Rogan interference, and the whole thing with the door. I love seeing stuff like that. I didn't realize that Nathan was cut until he came out right at the end. So I don't know if you've seen how that happened. I think some kids, me and myself, they realized that he was bleeding when he got out, and they were kind of shocked. But I would have just asked yourselves visibility. I think that particular cage, and I've done events with that particular cage before. I think visibility where I'm sat, of course, I'm like right there, and I can see everything. But what was visibility like for you guys? Was it okay still, or were there times where you thought, I can't really, make that out?
Chloe?
The cage wasn't any issue.
Okay.
It was
good.
It was camera placement that was a bit of an issue, because there was a certain part, especially with the table spot.
Yeah.
If the camera gentleman would have been standing up, we wouldn't have seen a thing. But fortunately, he kneeled down to get a better shot for himself. He kneeled down to get a better shot for himself. So luckily, we were able to see. But the cage didn't really give any issue for visibility.
Nah, I agree. Mr. Cameraman was a bit pesky through the night, but I think he may have had some comms in his ear to kneel down for that part of it. Seeing through the bars was completely fine. No visibility problems. I think the old school cage, the blue one, does help on the visibility, just because of in a way, the squares. So you're always going to see through them no matter where you sat.
Yeah.
So it definitely helped.
Yeah, obviously these two guys obviously front row. I was a few seats back, and I didn't have no qualms whatsoever. I mean, obviously perfect placement. I'm a tall guy anyway. I think you've seen how tall I am, so I didn't have a problem. Probably people a little bit more smaller, not mentioning names. Chloe.
5'8".
But yeah, I think
yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, perfect overall. But yeah, for me, this match is going to be a 5. Absolutely terrific. And again, Stevie, talking about storylines. I mean, this is one thing I can praise this pay-per-view for is there's so many great storylines, throughout this actual card. But for me, solid 5 for this match. Chloe?
5. The storyline leading up to it. Because it's not just been within the NGW world. The storyline's been building up elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if there's been Miles and Nathan on a card, whether they've been in a match together, something's probably going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if shows that I've not been to, you can see on social media afterwards that, Miles has been Miles. So it was just very much a 5 for me.
Okay. Ben, I think I kind of know the score for this, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
What do you reckon it is?
Yeah, I think you're going to get a 5 as well.
Yeah, I would. I'd go to 5. Yeah, storyline, like Chloe says, if you like where Avid goes to BWR, I know it's not NGW, I'm sorry, but you'll have Nathan in a match there. Miles won't interfere. You'll get Miles running and Nathan going somehow beast mode speed, running after him all through an arena. It's been building up. You went to, was it in Newark Showground where there was against LAX? And it was Miles being Miles and then just tweeting out thanks to LAX for sharing the ring with the Golden Boy. It's just all been building and building. And obviously Miles is Nathan's understudy. I thought the result may have been different, like I say. But storyline, it's far from over between them two. And I look forward to what's going to happen next with them. But it is a 5.
Okay. Stevie, anything to add for his next question?
No, other than, I was very pleased and, watching people that, again, in that kind of environment. And you're always worried when, they're at the top of the cage and something could go wrong. You're worried that the cage is going to come loose or whatever, particularly, when there's a high spot or, Nathan's doing the diving headbutt or whatever the case may be. You do worry for the guys, but yeah, it was great for me when it was over, and that's not me dissing the match at all. But just the reaction, the fact that people buy Miles as a legitimate threat to someone like Nathan Cruz, who's been synonymous and has been very much the figurehead of the promotion and that kind of thing. And Miles is so young. I don't know how old he is now. I think he's 22 or something crazy like that. So he's very young. He's early 20s, and it's scary. Yeah, I remember a conversation a couple of years ago. Might be 23 now, but even so, it just I met him when he was very young, and for him to be in a main event position like that in front of 1,000 fans or whatever it was, he's sky's the limit. Hopefully, he'll keep at it and go from there. But in a year's time, I mean, what are we going to be talking about? Are we going to be talking about Miles Kamen going up against the NGW champion? Who knows? Is Nathan Cruz going to have another run? Is he going to end up against his friend, Matt Myers? There's a lot there to unpack. As I said earlier, Maxted is, he never lost the title. And you've got Rampage as well, who's got the title shot. So I think for the people who follow it, it's 2024. It's very interesting times. And, where does this leave the new gen as well? As that particular threat, it's that particular entity with Reese and Rogan as well. So, yeah, a lot going on.
Of course. So the one thing, obviously, when we do reviews, Chloe, I ask everybody this: who was the performer of the night? Which wrestler stood out for you the most?
Nathan Cruz. Just the athleticism and the jumping off of, a cage, and just the ability to sell, from both sides is just incredible.
Okay, interesting. Ben?
Scott Bell.
Is he your mate or something?
T-shirt coming out soon. Anyway, I reckon if I'm not allowed Scott, Miles Kamen. he came in, he did everything he needed to do, and he left a bigger star than he was going into the match.
Okay, I'm actually in agreement with Benny. I'm going to go for Miles as well. I mean, I was going to point this out. His entrance was absolutely on point, by the way.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
His entrance was absolutely terrific. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Ben's just said it as well. He might have lost the match, but for me, he's come out a bigger star than obviously he was. So I can't ask you obviously this question, Steve, because obviously for obvious reasons. But
no, go ahead.
Who do you think? Who stood out for you, performer of the night?
I mean, I can absolutely understand Miles. I can absolutely understand Nathan as well. I think there's an argument for both. You know, I can't be. I've got to be on the fence somewhat. So I think there is an argument for Matt Myers, given what happened as well, and he is the new champion, and there's a reason for that as well. But going back to what you were saying, Liam, about that entrance, I was told, because I was going to give, you know, the rules of the cage match, and I was just told we're going to send Miles out now. So I had to be very careful not to ruin his entrance. But honestly, I went through the rules. I you know, obviously give him his introduction and whatnot. But just watching it, I had chills, and I'm not just saying that. You know, when I turned around and if you see it, I'm in the corner and I'm watching him from the ring when he made that entrance and with the fireworks and you know, the pyro and whatnot and the lighting, just being in that cage. It was a real cool moment just to see this. You know, like I say, he's 23 or something. He might not even be that. He's so young, and he did look like a star when he was making that entrance.
I agree. That entrance made him look $1 million in a way.
Yeah, he looked like Nathan Cruz when he was a heel when he was younger. So there you go.
Okay. So one last thing, obviously, to talk about is we've got two obviously more shows coming up for NGW. Of course, 9th of March returns to the Eastmount Centre. We've obviously spoke about it briefly. Do we know anything, Stevie? Can you get anything away, or is it just?
I honestly don't know. I can't give you any rumors. I can't tell you anything. I honestly don't know. If you put up the poster, you can see who's going to be there. We can have match speculation if you want. I'm guessing Myers. Is he going to make his first title defense? I don't know. Who would that be against? Obviously, the big one in the summer. You know, is that going to be against Rampage? I don't know.
I can let you into a spoiler, Stevie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who are you speaking to?
The spoiler is Front Row is actually sold out for this show.
I know that.
It's not
I know
a
that
spoiler.
bit.
Right. But yeah.
Oh dear, but yeah, Chloe, what do you reckon? How is this exciting?
Like my first NGW show was at the Eastmount Centre, so it will be nice to go back and just see the fallout from Eternal Glory.
Excellent. Ben, anything to add?
Not really. We'll probably go to it. I'm not gonna lie. On the whim, we'll go to it. Yeah, we kind of invested now. We go to a lot of shows up and around the country, ish, and I think from the fallout of this show, we have to know where the next chapter goes. So, Rich has got 2 more fans in me and Chloe going to shows.
Okay. And then, of course, in June, returns to the City Hall, which I'm excited for this one. Especially we've got Robbie X on the poster.
Yeah.
Rampage again. So, again, you could match speculate, really. Is that right, Stevie?
Well, yeah, go for it, because I don't know. I mean, is Rampage going to wait until the summer for his title shot? Is he going to get it in March? I don't know.
Can we guarantee Robbie's on the card with what you said about posters earlier?
At the moment, I mean, card subject to change. It's 6 months away. I mean, anything can happen before then. I mean, blimey. Am I going to be there?
Yeah, you're going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. But, is Lizzie going to be against Alexis Falcon? I think that would be a good call, but it could happen before then. I don't know.
And I know Chloe wants to buy one thing at the next NGW show.
What's that?
I'm buying myself a foam finger.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting myself one.
You've never bought a foam finger before?
No.
You've never had a foam finger? Oh. Well,
The funny thing was, I was driving back, obviously from Hull Saturday, and I'm like, I wish I got a foam finger now.
there was a lot of merchandise, wasn't there? I was quite impressed with that setup. I got to see that, and
Foam finger.
Foam finger.
I bought
But
my
yeah.
first foam finger 30 years ago, and that was at a WF house show.
Was it a Hulk
Still-
Hogan
still
one?
got it. No, it was an Undertaker one. They
Oh,
only
nice
had
purple
Undertaker
one.
ones. It was a red one. I've got it
Ooh.
somewhere, I think. I might give it away. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, Chloe, to summarize, obviously, NGW Eternal Glory, everything we've covered. Anything to add? Anything extra?
No, I just loved it. It was great.
There you go. There you go, Ben.
I was just about to burp. Sorry. I thought it was a good show, great show. I think it was brave to put on a show in December, but I think it worked out good. Like, I'm not a promoter and I'm never going to be, but putting a show in that close to Christmas must have been a bit twitchy at times. But I think they went out, they set out what they needed to do and smashed it out the park. And if anyone watching the show back, they will talk about just about every match on that card all night. There was no sleeper match. No one was bored. There wasn't a toilet break apart from the interval. I think they did fantastic.
Stevie, final thoughts?
I think just to add to that, I think NGW is a bit different to other places because they always do well at Christmas. That's always their biggest event. And it always is, like I say, Eternal Glory. For whatever reason, I don't know. We did an event, one of them, at the City Hall going back a few years, and I think it was like the 23rd of December or something like that. It really was on the top of Christmas, and that was the one where they turned people away. It was unbelievable. Might be going back 7-8 years, but every Christmas for whatever reason, NGW, it's always the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I like about this is obviously doing podcasting. Obviously, everyone spoke about NGW. Ace Matthews mentioned it when I interviewed him. Stevie, we obviously talked about it many, many times. Obviously, friends as well have said, look, let's get NGW. And to be quite honest with you, I am so glad I obviously did, because one thing I'm a big fan of, obviously, in wrestling is storylines. And I mentioned it earlier. There were so many great storylines throughout this actual card. And now I am excited for the next one. And I probably will be going myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's a I don't want to put them over or anything, but there's somebody else online on social media. I won't say who, that have recently done a poll about the number one promotion in the country.
Yes.
And it's very interesting because the thing is, I'm
just
talking
figure who that is.
Yeah.
We know who it is. We know who it is.
I'm not dissing them. I'm not dissing the people who vote or anything like that. But if we went on attendance for each of those promotions and how well they actually do and how much visibility they have online, it's two entirely different things. NGW does not have an online following like some of these places, some of which, again, I'm not dissing anyone in particular, but their draws are terrible. I mean, they are. They might run regularly, but they might draw 30 people. Whatever. NGW draws hundreds of fans at various shows, and there's barely a mention. I know places like, going back again. I don't want to go off on a tangent because we're coming to the end here, but it's like All Star with the dominant promotion in the country for years. And there's barely a blip online about them because they don't appeal to the smart fans or whatever that means. Don't even know anymore. So
we are about Brian Dixon's All-Star.
Yeah.
Oh,
so back in the day,
fantastic.
right?
Yeah.
Which is great, but they didn't have the visibility as and what I'm comparing it to is NGW do not have an online visibility as do Mega Slam do really well, and there's barely anything said online about them. There's other places. So all I'm saying is the fact that you guys have come along and you've seen that there's fans, there's avid supporters of NGW, it's families, it's people who are local, not the kind of people that go on social media and talk about it all the time. So I think, the fact that you can get those two, if that's two separate fan bases, and I don't think it is, I think it's more complex than that, but I think you've won. It's like, to me, WWE, for all the sins, they're getting, they're covering all bases. I mean, they really are, they're getting this kind of fan, they're getting the casuals, they're getting, the mainstream, whatever you want to call it, and they're also getting the people who are really invested. So to have you there, I'm just saying I really appreciate it, because maybe now NGW will get the respect that it deserves and some more online visibility.
I think for me, seeing it live proved how much people in Hull not so much needed wrestling, but wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I admit there's not that much great online, but everyone in that building wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not so much surprising, because obviously I know NGW has been around a while, but it was good to see how many people was invested in the product. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, well, Chloe, anything you want to plug, you can tell people where they can find you if you want to do that.
No, thank you.
Tell people, I mean, listen to what you've just said, Liam. If people want to find Chloe, she's here.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I mean, I've got my Instagram, but I don't really post much, so it's fine.
Okay. Ben, I'll skip you because that's the same thing. But Stevie, anything you want to plug, my friend?
Why am I getting skipped?
I
I was going to say,
I want to have anything to plug.
You want anything you want to plug, Ben?
There's a great wrestler coming out of Grimsby at the moment. He's called Brandon Butcher. I think you should go watch him at Evo, part of BWR.
Have you got footage?
Pardon?
Do you want to send me footage?
I will do it. He had a great tag match, him and Jay Vertigo versus Reese and Rogan. It was
okay.
I'll send you it your way. Don't worry. So go check out Brandon, and you can see me on Instagram for Fast Count Clothing UK.
There you go, Stevie. Anything you want to plug, my friend?
Not particularly at the moment, obviously. I'm on social media if you want to come find me, if you want to have a laugh and stuff. I don't mind people messaging me, as they do occasionally, fans and whatnot. Obviously we've got a big event coming up in Newcastle next month. NGW Eternal Glory was my final event of this year, so I'm not taking on any other bookings until next year now. But yeah, end of January, if you're in the Newcastle area, do a search for Wrestling in Newcastle. It's a promotion I'm being heavily involved with at the moment, and we're doing the Great North Rumble. So there you go. There's a big Rumble match coming there, Chloe, so you'd enjoy that. The new champion Brady Phillips will be defending his title for the first time. Lots of great British talent on that event, and I won't speak too much about them because this is the NGW show. But do a search for Wrestling in Newcastle as well, and support British wrestling as well.
Of course. And NGW obviously return to the Eastmount Centre on Saturday, 9th of March. Is this where
sold out?
There you go. Thank you for reminding me. Of course, 28th of June they return to the City Hall again. I will probably be checking that out. I cannot wait for that. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Yeah, the Magic of Wrestling is obviously back this Saturday. As we're looking at what's been going on in the wrestling world this year, there's been quite a lot, let's be honest. Overall, Stevie, wrestling, there's been so much going off this year, good and bad, let's be honest.
I think it's been exciting. I think it's been mostly good, to be honest. Wrestling on TV. There's things going on elsewhere, and there's always bad in everything, but focus on the good. It's been mostly good, and I think I really believe that we're not too far away from a new boom period. I think it's coming big. At least for WWE anyway. I think they're gonna take off, and hopefully British wrestling as well will come back in a big way as well overall.
Yep, absolutely. Chloe, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Ben, as always, it's always a pleasure. Yeah.